Oh, it's a heavy boy. It's a heavy boy. Wow. Hello, I'm Samantha Jo, and welcome to today's video where I am going to be testing out this Arteza's 72 art marker kit for the very first time. I'm really excited because this is my second ever alcohol markers that I'm trying out today. The only other alcohol-based markers I've used have been Spectrum Noir, so I'm really excited to see how these will compare. So without further ado, let's jump in and get started. So let's take a closer look at the box before we open it up. This is the Arteza alcohol-based ink, double-sided, non-toxic, 72 colors, blendable, Everblend art markers. We have the broad nib plus a fine nib, and then they're all replaceable as well. I don't know if Spectrum Noir's nibs are replaceable or not, but it's really cool that you can replace the nibs and these markers and then just keep using it. Right, if we take a look at the top, you can see all the colors that come inside of this kit, and then let's see at the back, we just have the regular Arteza stuff. I don't know if you're supposed to say it Arteza. I've heard it said multiple ways, but I'm just gonna say Arteza. Anyways, let's get this opened. The box feels so nice. Ooh, it's wrapped upon wrapped. Ooh. Ooh. I do remember it being like some type of carrying kit or a way that you can store the markers when you bought this. Look at that. Ooh, so pretty. All right. Oh, okay. So it's two sections here. Kind of the colorful ones at the top here and the bluey, greeny, browny skin tones at the bottom here. Well, that's kind of nice. So if you wanted to like maybe make your own set of markers that you really like and just want to have them out all the time and place the other one away, I like it. I like it. So we've got them out now. They look quite interesting. This is the fine tip that they have, and then a nice big fat boy here with the chisel tip. That looks very nice. Right, before we move on any further, I think it's about time that we do some swatches. All right, and here are all of our swatches. I had to go onto the back side because, you know, your girl can't plan how many swatches go on one side. Any hoozles. It's really different to work with the chisel tip. Just with doing these swatches, I've only ever used brush tips, so I'm a little hesitant to know how that's going to affect me when I go to actually do my artwork. The colors themselves are very vibrant. I really like how just like bold they are. I wanted to see the color difference between the Arteza markers and the Spectrum Noir markers. So here's a test of my Spectrum Noir markers that I did in a recent video. As you can just see, the yellows are a bit more yellow, and same with some of the oranges and some of the reds. You know, they're just a bit more vibrant, I would say, overall comparatively. But that's just upon initial kind of look-sees. Obviously, the colors aren't exactly the same. I just think it's an interesting thing to note. Not saying it's a bad thing, just interesting. This was only the markers from the J pack that I got recently, but hold on. This is all of my Spectrum Noir markers that I currently have. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have some duplicates in this set, by the way. 76, 77, 78. 78 Spectrum Noir markers, but there are some repeats in here. And 72 completely unique Arteza markers. So, I mean, if they're going head to head, I think there's a really good chance that we're going to see some interesting results with the two of these. So now it's time to put these two markers to the test. And what better way to do that than with an epic battle scene from one of my favorite shows, Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is an anime show that's been going for quite a while now. As of recording this video, there's only 2 episodes left, and so it's really getting close to the whole story ending, and I'm just kind of really into Attack on Titan at the moment. I decided it'd be really cool to draw a scene with 2 of the main characters from Attack on Titan, and they're just about to kind of fight with each other. I am working off of this image for my reference for this illustration. I will leave a link down in the description below to where I found it if you would like to go check it out. I really like the composition of the characters within this image because they are going head to head, and so are our markers. On the left side of the image, we have our Armored Titan, which will represent Arteza. And on the right side here, we have our Attack Titan, which will represent Spectrum Noir. So let's go ahead and get started with what we know, the Spectrum Noir side. So here we go with the Spectrum Noir markers. And I gotta say, I'm used to using Spectrum Noir markers by now. I know how well they blend together. I'm getting started here just by blocking out my main color for my Titan and leaving kind of the highlighted area so I can go back to later. But I will bring up one issue that I find with Spectrum Noir markers, and that is that the tips really don't cover as much area after a lot of use. Like you can see here, I'm really struggling to get the ink out of the Spectrum Noir tip. And yes, I've had this pen for quite a while, so maybe the ink's just running out of it. But I find that with some, even of my newer ones that I've gotten, that it maybe just doesn't flow as well as I would hope it would. And I am using Spectrum Noir paper here too. So that's, I don't know, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Let me know down in the comments below if you use Spectrum Noir and you've kind of found this too. Maybe I just need to replace the nibs now that I know that that can be done. But yeah, so overall Spectrum Noir, they're super easy. The brush tip I'm just using for mainly everything except for the small details of the eyes here. I really kind of switch over to my nib just to get into it. But the brush tip really helps in all areas of doing this Attack Titan. Now that I'm done with the Attack Titan, it's time to move on to the background. Here are the colors that I've decided to go to. I'll start with purples at the top, and then I'll move down to reds and oranges. So you can see I'm a little hesitant to start with the background, and that's only because I know this is a big area to fill, and like I just said, Spectrum Noir sometimes doesn't do great with big fill areas. Also, I'm really not that great with background, so I was hesitant to start this background because I really liked how my Titan came out. But overall, the new markers that I have worked great to fill in these big spaces, and overall, I think the background came out really nice. So last thing to do for this side is to just give it a nice bold outline to separate our Attack Titan from the background, and then we can move on to Arteza. So looking at the swatches that I did earlier, I decided to go with these markers for our main kind of palette for our Armored Titan. But before we get to the yellows, let's fill in all of the base of the red. And I was a little hesitant to put it down to the paper for the first time, but once I did, oh my gosh, this ink flowed from the brush. It just like went down onto the paper and was so buttery smooth, like even from the small little nib itself. So I'm like, oh, I have to try the chisel now. I have to see how well this is gonna fill in with the big areas, and it did so well. I mean, look how easy it is for me to fill in these large chunks of red area. So much quicker than what it was with the Spectrum Noir markers. Like, I'm just, yeah, I was very satisfied with how easy it was. And the chisel tip was not that bad to use. When it came to actually layering different colors on, they worked really well. I was really able to build up the color palette of the red that I wanted to, but then I moved on to the yellow, and this is really where I was going to test the blending ability for the Arteza markers. Again, I'm going in with my first color, leaving room for the highlights and the dark shades. But yeah, it's so buttery smooth. These markers, the ink just goes down so well. And the blending between the bright yellow and the darker yellow really was nice. It was really nice to kind of go back and forth between those. And this is one thing that I've also noticed about the Arteza markers is that they don't leave nearly as much like marker-ish smudges like the Spectrum Noir markers did. Like you can tell where your brush strokes were because maybe they're just the brush nib, and maybe because this is chiseled, it doesn't do that as much. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So by the time that I was able to go into the background, I was super comfortable at how this was going to lay down. I actually had to go through and make it look like streaks just so I could like get that motion going because it just went down and blended so well together between the different markers. So I really had to work to make sure that you can tell like there was some movement inside of the background. But I'll shut up now and let myself at my desk go over my final thoughts for these markers. So I finished with the Arteza piece, and I gotta admit it was a very pleasant experience to work with the markers. The fat chisel tip filled in the massive areas so much better than what the brush tips did in the Spectrum Noir markers. I was just blown away at how great of coverage it got, plus also the color vibrancy. I'm really excited to take off this sheet and reveal the other side just to see how different the color is between the two pieces. So let me go ahead and reveal that to you now. Whoa. Look at that! Oh my gosh. So just with this image here, you can definitely see just the color variation and vibrancy between the two brands. They look so cool next to each other, but I can definitely tell the difference when it comes to which marker I kind of prefer, and that's Arteza at the moment, because the colors are just so vibrant. I mean, look at the difference between like the lilacs and some of the darker purples. The reds here are just a bit more brighter overall as well. But overall, I'm very impressed and happy with the purchase of the Arteza markers. That's it for today's video. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know down in the comments below if you've ever used this Arteza marker set before. I'd love to know your experience and your thoughts. If you would like to see another Arteza versus Spectrum Noir video, be sure to give this video a like so I know that that's something that you're interested in. I would love to try their brush tip pens after using these ones. I think they're gonna be so good. So if this video gets enough likes, I will go ahead and purchase that and make that video. Also, let me know which side that you preferred in today's video. While you're down there writing your comment, be sure to do all those other things on YouTube that I know you know how to do in 2022. And remember, the door is always open to imagination and creativity. I'll see you on my next video. Bye! Just came out so good. I'm so happy with it. What can I say? I'm happy. I am chuffed. I'm a chuffed girl.